Hi, I'm Kristi Gustafson Barlette with the Times Union and timesunion.com, and welcome to 20 Things Plus on Times Union Live. Each week, we catch up with somebody who we previously featured on 20 Things You Don't Know About Me in the Times Union. Today, we are joined by Dan Bazile. Dan has more than 2 decades of reporting in the Capital Region on local news, and he is currently over at Spectrum and co-hosts Your Morning Albany alongside Julie Chapman and Heather Morrison. Good morning, Dan. Or good afternoon. I'm thinking morning because I said you post the morning, but it's the afternoon.
Well, hey, it's early morning for me too, because guess what? I've been up since probably about 3 o'clock this morning,
Yeah,
4 o'clock. But yeah, I'm lost when it comes to time too. So don't worry about it. But yeah, good afternoon to you.
Right,
Thanks for having me.
We forget what day it is now. I think we forget what month it is with everything being so crazy. But I see you're at home, and I know you've been still working and reporting and anchoring from home for the last several months. How's that going?
You know what? I actually enjoy it because, all I have to do is get out of bed and I wear shorts now to work because, you can't see that bottom part, right, for an anchor. So I wear shorts now. I'm in the basement of my house and, it's just my commute is just a walk downstairs. And when I'm done working, I go back upstairs and I go to the pool. It's been a lot of fun so far just working from home because I don't have to do, but my morning commutes are never really all that much anyway when it comes to going down to Northway at 3 o'clock in the morning. But, other than that, it's been just a lot of fun being at home, reporting from here and doing all things from here in my house. Just fun.
You mentioned your pool. I do see the photos on social media with you lounging poolside. It looks very desirable.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
We'll catch up on a couple of your original 20 things, and then we'll learn a few new things about you.
Absolutely. So I'm ready.
Let's start with the first one. It's food related, and this photo looks delicious. Tell us a little bit about this.
Ah, man, you are speaking my language with food. This is one of my 20 things. It was number 8, and it is that I love to cook, and I really, really enjoy cooking. I tell you, Kristi, it's funny because, I did a cooking segment for years on television, and I learned quite a bit from the chefs that come. I just enjoy. First of all, I enjoyed cooking to begin with. I learned how to cook from when I was a kid with my mother. And those chefs, they give you these little tips and tricks and things of the trade. And I kept those for years. I'm talking about 15 years of cooking in the kitchen with chefs on TV. Learned a lot, brought them home, and I love to hang out in the kitchen, cook a good meal for my fiance now, who's just loves my cooking. Just the one thing that I did recently was I actually did a charity event. I cooked for some couples. It was an auction. I auctioned off my own cooking at More Pareca's restaurant. That was last year, which was very, very well done, and the couple just enjoyed the food. I made bœuf bourguignon for them, which is a French dish that I really enjoy cooking to begin with. So this is something that I really, really love to do, and actually makes me happy. It relaxes me to be in the kitchen.
Well, I like that. It sounded so rich and great. Now tell me, you said you got a lot of tips from chefs over the years. What would be the number one hack or tip you got from all those years doing your cooking segment on air?
It's funny because you're right. There's many, many tips and tricks, but the most memorable one I remember is how to cut an onion. You know how people struggle to figure out how to cut the onion the right way, how to take away the parts that they don't like, so because you want to take away the cover of the onion, so when you're peeling it, you take off parts that you don't want, part of the cooking. So they taught me that it's very easy, a simple trick. You cut the two sides of the onion, the two heads, and then you make a little slit on both sides, and then that just peels the onion so fast, and then now you have a nice onion ready to go. That was one of the best tricks I've learned in the trade.
I like that too, because peeling onions is not always the most fun part.
No.
And then also, what is something, because I've seen many of your culinary creations online, I saw what you had made on Valentine's Day and things like that. What would you say is one thing that you're not quite there yet, you're still working on it? What are you trying to perfect? What is one dish that you're still working on?
Calamari. I cannot make calamari very well. I got to tell you, I made my first calamari dish. It was a disaster. I am still getting hounded by my fiance for this calamari dish that I made. It was awful because the calamari was hard to chew. It was it is a dish that you have to really finesse to make it correct and make it well. And calamari, I'm still trying to learn how to do that well right now.
All right, now that I'm hungry and I want to eat everything, let's go on to your second one that you're going to update viewers on. Your next original 20 things. What was that?
All right, my next one, number 11. I only sleep about 4 hours a night. It seems that I don't need a lot of sleep. Even on my days off, I'm up at the crack of dawn. That is very true. The thing is, I don't think I've ever needed a lot of sleep. If in college, I would pull an all-nighter and still just don't need too much sleep the next day. I'd get like a few hours. And when you're young, when you're 19, 20, 21, you're full of energy.
Yeah.
So, but I never needed sleep then, and I still am that way today. I can go to sleep at 9, 10 o'clock and still wake up at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock to go to work the next day. So I sleep only about 4 or 5 hours a night. Most nights. On weekends, I don't get to catch up either, because on weekends I still wake up early, and I end up, especially in the summertime, I end up sitting by the pool, very early in the morning, just hanging out and having my coffee early in the morning. Very quiet. I like the birds chirping, especially, in the summertime in the morning. So no, I do not get a lot of sleep. Someone said to me that very few people in the world are like that, and I guess I might be one of them. And I guess it is because I don't need that much sleep to actually be, to function well. I can function pretty well in 4 hours.
I've read that before, that it's a physiological thing and you either have it or you don't. I don't. But
I tell you what it is, Kristi. I tell you what it is. I've been told too that when I fall asleep, I fall asleep fast. I go into REM sleep very quickly. I mean, I can go to sleep. I say I'm going to bed, and then maybe 3 minutes later, I'm snoring. I'm in REM sleep. And so some people, some experts are saying that it might be that I go into REM sleep so fast that I only need 4 hours, whereas some people, they toss and turn for like an hour or two before they actually go into REM sleep. So I think that might have something to do with it.
It almost sounds like you're an efficient sleeper.
I suppose.
When you are going into the office, you drive down the Northway at 3 o'clock in the morning. So what time I know you broadcast from 6 to 9 a.m. on Your Morning Albany. What time do you typically get into the office? Do you get over to Spectrum?
I have to be there by 3:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Usually I try to be there early because, we have to do some makeup. This is television, so we have to do our makeup. We have to do, some things. Sometimes, the hair doesn't cooperate. Yes, even my hair sometimes it does not cooperate, and it's nice and short, and it's great, but sometimes there are some strays that I have to fix, and it takes, so yeah, we have to get ready, and then after that I have to read through some things and figure out what the news of the day is, have meetings before the show. So it takes a little bit of time from 3 o'clock until we get on live at 6 o'clock. So yeah, it's a process, and I think we've perfected it. The producers go in much earlier than that. We're talking midnight. They're in the studio already trying to prepare for the day. So we go in a little bit after, just so we can, meet up with them, figure out the news of the day, figure out the top stories and things of that nature. And then we get on at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Very cool. All right. Now, the first one, I know you've already mentioned her, and I see she gets a lot of love on social media, and she's one of your favorite people to cook for, I think. So tell us about your first one,
My first new one is that I am engaged to be married. Yes.
I remember when this happened, I remember you wrote about it for the Times Union, and it was one of our most popular posts. Readers were so excited for you. They loved seeing the photos you had. Tell us, you had a beachside engagement, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I thank you for that, Kristi, because you called and it was great. It was a great article. I'm glad people enjoyed it. I enjoyed it myself. The engagement itself was so much fun. It took a lot to put it together. I mean, More Pareca's owner there, Maria Papa, she helped me. because she's friends and we're friends and we vacation together sometimes. And she was there. So she helped me out. And the thing is, she had no idea this was going to happen, which is great. I thought I was going to spill the beans, but I didn't, thank goodness. So, the day before we were at a restaurant and I was so nervous. You have no idea how nervous I was because we were eating and I couldn't function. Because I know what was coming, but she didn't know, and she had no idea what was wrong with me. So she was thinking maybe something else is wrong. She had no idea I was about to propose. So the next day, everything is being worked out with Maria Papa and the location and all of that. She was actually my photographer for all of this, Maria Papa, that is. Yeah. So we put it together and we worked on the beach. Now, on the walk on the beach, my fiance, she does a lot. I mean, she's a lawyer, she's an attorney. So she gets into the weeds in terms of issues. She really gets down into them. So we're on the beach walking towards our engagement. She's there talking to me about a whole bunch of things that, and in me, I couldn't pay attention because I'm thinking, boy, okay, where is this thing? Where is this? Somewhere on the beach, I had written, "Will you marry me?" And that's what we were walking toward. And Maria Papa was hiding in the bushes with the kids so that she could take pictures of us as we walked towards the "Will you marry me?" It actually worked out perfectly. As we get there, she looked down and she says, "What is this?" And I said, "Hey, it's written that somebody's will you marry?" And then it fell together. And Maria took a lot of pictures and the kids came out. We had some champagne. It was great. It was wonderful. So that was the engagement, as you saw some of the pictures. And as far as the date of the wedding, well, we have a date. We're not willing to share yet. Let's just say it's not going to be hot.
That was going to be my next question, of course. I was going to ask you that, and I know it's a funny time to plan those kind of events right now, but we will wait. I'm sure there'll be photos when you do get married, and that'll be your time that we'll be excited to see them after that.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, that'll be fun. But it will not be a hot day. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right. And before we go on to your next new thing, I want to remind people that if they have questions for Dan, they can ask us on the Times Union's Facebook page, on our YouTube page, or Twitter. Okay, now we are going on to your next new thing.
All right, so my next new thing is that my number 2 here is I covered 9/11. This is a very serious topic, of course. One of the most horrific stories to start off the 21st century there. As a journalist, I always said that, I had a front row seat to history in the making. And of course, as we know today, that, again, it was one of the most horrific things I've ever been a witness to and covered. I was basically a green reporter, I would say. 3 years into this as a television journalist. I went down to cover 9/11. I got to tell you, I've never, first of all, being there and watching it on TV, two different things. I also went to Washington, D.C. At the Pentagon. When you look at that and the fuselage and the destruction there, when you're live there and you have, the smell, again, is just something that you'll never get out of your head. You look at it and just the visual and just the smell and everything just stays with you forever. So I'll never forget that. And also I'll never forget that television news stations that were competing with each other. It seems like nobody was really competing on that day, on those days where we covered, because everybody was just sharing video. Everybody was sharing, because everyone was doing basically a public service at that point. No one was looking at this as some kind of competition to beat anyone. It was just such an interesting moment to be a journalist. I got to tell you, I'll be telling my grandchildren this.
And of course, this is before social media. So, there was the internet, obviously, but essentially when you wanted to find out what was going on, you needed to tune into the news and when it was on to follow those stories. So.
I tell you what, Kristi, it's probably, and I'm not saying social media is great. Social media is good for us. And I do enjoy, the internet. But I tell you what, it would have been so much on 9/11, to have, Twitter, to have Facebook, to have, it would have been so much, because it was already a lot to have wall-to-wall coverage on every television news station. They suspended commercials at those days for a few days. I don't know if you remember this, but there were, you didn't have commercials on television for at least a week, and it was wall-to-wall coverage of news, what's happening, in New York City and DC, and all the people who were missing. They were still trying to figure things out. I've one of the stories I will tell you about 9/11 is, as I'm driving down, because you couldn't fly, as I'm driving down to those scenes, my photographer, a grown man, I'll never forget this guy, Barry Sanders was my photographer. He started crying, grown, way older than me. I think he was in his 50s at that point, and I was in my late 20s, early. So he started crying, and that just made me think, my goodness, this is really, really bad. I've never seen Barry Sanders cry, but that moment he started crying. It was awful. It was awful. But yeah, those are some of the stories. And everyone has a story about 9/11. Everybody who witnessed it, who they will tell you, I remember where I was at this moment, that moment, and that moment. So
now, Dan, before we go on to the third thing, you have a question on Facebook from Colleen. She would like to know if you ever wanted to be anything besides a journalist. Did you have any other career aspirations for a child, maybe?
That's a good question. Yeah, I did. I actually had my headshots done. I had an agent. I almost became an actor when I was in my youth, the 15, 16 years old, 17 years old. I actually, one of my 20 things, I auditioned for a toothpaste commercial.
That's right.
And I had a callback but the callback was on the day I was supposed to go to college, my first day of college. So I decided I was not going to go to that callback. Perhaps I should have gone, because who knows what would have happened, but in terms of where this could have taken me. But anyway, went to college instead. But yeah, I did want to do that. But I had this desire to be an attorney a long time ago. My mother, everyone just said, you like to talk, you like to argue, you like to so you need to become some kind of attorney for someone or some cause to help people. So a long time ago, I said, yeah, that would be something I wanted to do. And still today, actually, I got accepted into law school. That was one of my 20 things. And I am getting ready to take the LSAT and go to law school. So those are the things that I'm thinking about. But yeah, I've always wanted to be an attorney.
And then there would be two lawyers in your house, you and your fiance, who will be your wife when it's not hot out. That's what we know. Okay. All right, now on to your third new thing, Dan. Tell us, this is a food one, and this is something that I know you said a lot of people have. I've never heard it before. So tell us a little bit about the watermelon situation.
Okay, this one makes everybody laugh because it's weird and it's strange. And I understand why it's strange. And I understand why it's weird. It may even be a little controversial. But I cannot eat watermelon. That's because I got sick on watermelon when I was about 6 years old. I ate so much of it, I got so sick, and I don't want to give you any details of how I got sick and what happened, but needless to say, I got very sick on eating watermelon, because when I was a kid, I used to eat watermelon all the way down to that green part, because I loved it so much, and you get to that green part and it's still good. And so I ate so much of it, I got sick. And I tried eating it afterward. And let me tell you, it was not going to happen. The second time after I got sick, I said, okay, I can't eat watermelon. Till this day, I cannot smell it, because I guess the sense of smell is the most memorable for the brain. I've read that somewhere in many places. As a journalist, you do a lot of research. You find out some pretty interesting information. So the sense of smell apparently is one of the most memorable senses. So I cannot even smell it. The sight of it doesn't make me sick. It's the smell of it that makes me sick. So if I get close to watermelon, and in fact, whenever chefs would try to do watermelon segments, when I was doing the cooking segments, I always decided not to be a part of those segments because I can't smell it. If I smell it, I start having, flashbacks and things happen. And let me tell you, you wouldn't want to be around me getting sick like that. So yeah, I have this strange aversion to watermelon. Now, some people have other food groups. Like my 14-year-old, she says she can't eat salsa because, well, she had some salsa issues. Now she can't eat it. So there are some people who have an aversion to like cantaloupe. Some people have an aversion to other kind of foods. But me, it's watermelon, so I can't eat it till this day.
Now, before we move on, I have one question on that. So there's
Yeah,
real
go ahead.
watermelon, and then there's like Jolly Ranchers and watermelon blow pops, you know, the fake watermelon taste. Is it both smells, or is it just the authentic real watermelon smell that bothers you?
No, any smell. If you give me a watermelon candy and I get that whiff, it's not going to go well. Yeah, it's just even that fake or created smell doesn't work for me because it has somewhat of a watermelon feel and I've tried that too. I've tried Jolly Rancher's watermelon flavor, and even the flavoring is no good. Yeah, I know. It's strange, but
You know what not to bring to a picnic at Dan Bazile's house.
absolutely.
Right.
Don't bring watermelon.
At this point, what we do is we offer 3 clues for who we may be featuring for 20 Things You Don't Know About Me on timesunion.com on Monday.
Well, let me ask you a question. I thought maybe we should feature you, Kristi, because I read your 20 things, and you are a very interesting human being. And so when we do 20 Things Plus with Kristi, can I be on the other side asking you the questions?
That would be great. Yeah. I need to go back and read my own. I don't even remember what I said. But I don't have an aversion to watermelon. That I remember.
Yeah, you said some things like, I'd like to know, you had dinner with the rocker there, Dave Matthews. Yeah. I'd like to know more about that dinner. I also would like to know why you're so afraid of elevators. I mean, that's just interesting to me.
All right. Well, if I ever become a 20 Things Plus, I will tell you how I got to have a meal with Dave Matthews and why I will walk up 30 flights of stairs if it means I can avoid one elevator ride.
My goodness. Good for you.
All right. Now, for 20 Things on Monday, I'm going to give you one hint that's not on this list and tell it to you as a preview hint. This person knows you, and he thinks you should be able to guess him.
Okay.
All right. And then, of course, if readers and viewers have any guesses, they can post their guess on the Times Union's Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Or they can also tweet me at Just Kristi, and the Times Union's Twitter is @TimesUnion. All right, so let's start with the first one. When I was attending Van Rensselaer Elementary School, I was the meteorologist. Now, of course, we use that loosely because we know a meteorologist is a trained profession. So he was the weather reporter on WVRE, and that's the school's morning news program. Next up, before becoming a police officer, I worked as a patient care associate in the emergency room at Albany Med.
Oh my gosh, who is this?
All right, and then this is the third one. So I feel like these are 3 strong clues. I took my son Jacob to an interview with me at B95.5 when he was younger. And when he got to the radio station, he said, "Where are all the bands that play the music that we hear on the radio?"
Oh, wow.
He works in law enforcement, but was at Albany Med, and he is local because he went to Van Rensselaer Elementary School.
It's not Matt Veach, is it? No, it's not Matt. No, wait. No, you know what? I don't remember. You know what? It sounds like someone I do know.
You said you used to work together when you were at the other station, especially when you were reporting.
Yeah. You know what? I can't come up with a name. I'm so sorry. I'm sure this person really wants me to know this.
I asked him. I reached out and I said, "Do you think Dan will know you?" So if anybody has any guesses, like I said, they can ask us or they can take a guess on Times Union's Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, or on my Twitter
This is terrible. I can't believe I can't figure this out. I mean, it sounds like I know this person. Every clue you gave me just made me think that I know this person very well.
And like I worked with him when you were a reporter previously, before you were anchoring full time.
Worked with him before.
He's been with the police for a while.
Why can't I get it? I can't come up with it.
If this goes live at 7 a.m. Monday, we know you're up, you're on air. So at a commercial break, you're going to have to go on timesunion.com and see who it is.
I got to do it.
Well, maybe you'll think about it this weekend, or maybe Cheryl or the kids can help you come up with it.
You know what? Cheryl will probably say, "Dan, I mean, see, after I get off here, I'm sure I'll come up with it. You watch." Right. I just can't come up with it right now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dan. I appreciate it. And congratulations again on your engagement.
All right, Kristi, thank you so much. Much appreciated here too. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. It was great. It was a lot of fun to be here.
Thanks for joining us.